Hello there, good morning and welcome to my arty channel here on YouTube. Gosh, I can't get my words out again today. It's 11:30 in the morning here in the United Kingdom. It's Saturday the 27th of August and I have got a huge thank you to everybody who has subscribed to my channel. At some point between mid yesterday afternoon and this morning, not long ago, when I checked my YouTube channel dashboard and stuff, and if I haven't replied to your messages yet, I will do as soon as I finish this video, I realised I'd made 1,000 subscribers. I am absolutely humbled by this, and I do mean humbled, but I'm also pleasantly surprised. As I've often said, I never expected to get even one follower. I started this channel because I realised that I needed a way to talk about what I was doing, what was going on in my head. I don't think in words. So I don't always know myself what I'm thinking. And so it was a way for me to capture my thoughts and explain what I was doing and understand myself a bit better. Over time, in the past year and a bit, this has changed to, as well as talking about things, getting my mind out there, what I say my mind, what's going on in my head and so on, it's become a way to also encourage and help you in your journey of drawing, of creating, of finding joy and relaxation in the process of putting simple lines on paper and making patterns from them, or very stylized drawings and using colour and shadow and highlight. And I share how I do this. Doesn't mean it's necessarily the official correct way or a correct way. It's my way. And it's always been my hope that I can encourage people to discover their way as well. And it's beautiful when people share work with me that's been inspired by what I've done, or they've used what I've done and put their own slant on it, or done what I've drawn because you haven't yet got your own confidence to draw something that's in your own way. It is still in your own way because you can see how you use pens differently and colour differently. So you put your own personality on that, and I just find this absolutely amazing and fascinating. I always have. So a huge thank you to each and every one of you. The next problem is that now means I could monetize my channel, and I'm not too sure I want to do that. I got a lot of thinking to do about that one, because it wouldn't cost you anything, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with that one. But it's a big milestone in any YouTuber, I think, is to reach that magic 1,000, because it's got the potential to open other things up. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. But just thank you. So I wanted to come and say a big thank you. There'll be lots of thank yous through this. And what I've got in front of me here, you can see, is this flowy drawing I started earlier this week, which I've left as it is. In fact, I managed to spill tea over it, so I've got some tea stains and what have you, so it's unlikely to be finished, but that really doesn't matter. A lot of the work I do is for sketchbooks, is for experimenting, for trying things out. Like this one was an experiment. Black paper card, it's actually mixed media paper from Clairefontaine. It's the paint on one, which I've just cut into pieces to use, and white gel pens. The bottom is a Signo white pen, up here is the Sakura Jelly Roll, and it doesn't show up quite on the camera, but the Sakura Jelly Roll is much more, is noticeably more opaque on the black card than the Signo. But up here, the purple and the greys are the Jelly Roll Moonlight pens, the 06s, and that is so subtle. I really like that, so expect more work on black card from me going forward. I also tried sort of using, I've got some white charcoal pencils in my stash. Didn't realise I still had some, but I have. And I've used that in places just to add those highlights, not shadows, because you only need highlights here. You could put shadows, I suppose, over the white gel pen, which is something I may look at. This one was a surprise for me in the last week, how well it's worked out. I haven't finished it. I still don't know how to add colour or shadow or highlight to it, but I will figure that out in time. Here are some of the triangular fragments that I explored. Some I explored with you on camera. Here's the other one there. I'm going to put my fragments there. This one was lovely. It was some of the fragments from Project Pact 18 Day 1 of Zentangle, zentangle.com on their channel. And this has turned from being a fragment into an overall pattern, which has the feel of a variation of diva dance. This I've just found in my stash. Lovely flowers. And I've got this out. I drew these because I wanted to work with alcohol markers and see what they would look like, what colours I would like and so on. It's exploring that, how to add colour, because I do like alcohol markers. And then this is what I had in my last video. More fragment explorations here and here and here. And I do love fragments and I do love putting them together. And I don't know which one I'd like to use at the moment. I'm quite tempted to have a look at this one, but I think that one would be it'd be okay. This one intrigues me up here because I think that would create a wonderfully all over woven pattern. So I think I'll have a look at that. The other thing I've been doing is just briefly before I started filming, I took out a couple of A3 sheets of the all media paper I've got from Artwyrd, I think it is. And it's recycled, it's made from recycled coffee cups. But it's a really sturdy, thick paper, so it's more like card than it is paper. And it's quite nice to draw on, and it actually takes alcohol markers quite well, which surprised me. I expected it to soak them up, like other thick papers like this do, like the paint-on one. But I've cut some of these sheets up into this, which is, if I remember rightly, this is 4.5? Yeah, 4.5 inches square. I've got some that are 3.5 inches square. This little one here is 2.5 inches square. And I've got some that are 2 inches square. So I've got a stash of these, so they're just fun to make. Now my next dilemma is, do I work on white paper or shall I colour it with distress inks? It's so hard to know what to do. I do like distress inks, so I'm going to stop the video for a moment while I go and find my distress inks now. Okay, I'm back and I have some distress inks. I've got some oranges, pinks and purples, oranges, reds, pinks, purples, yellows, and I have got some browns because I'll want to edge, I think, give a darker edge to this paper. I think I'm going to start with some orange, and I think I'm going to go with dried there's this lovely pinky colour, this saltwater taffy, which is a pinky orange. It's almost salmony. And I think this would actually work quite nicely here today. Bit of love for everyone. It is lovely, isn't it? Now, the idea of distress inks is not to create a perfect surface, and I've certainly got no intention whatsoever of doing that. As in perfectly coloured, I'm just going to add colours until I'm happy with them. I'm not going to add a spritz of water or anything today, I don't think. Though I may whiz off and just give this a bit of a dry with a hairdryer just to get the inks to settle into the paper. Because I find that distress inks do need that. That actually works nicely together. I don't know how it's showing up all right on the screen, but the pinky salmony, pinky orangey salmony coloured saltwater taffy actually works nicely with the dried marigold. I'm looking there for some other colours. I think abandoned coral would work nicely because again that's more of an orangey pink, and I also need a little piece of tissue, or in my case kitchen paper, just put under my fingers so I don't pick this ink up now. So I'm going to add some of this, mainly just around the outside, perhaps around the corners a little bit, just to start framing this paper and perhaps adding a bit more. And it's not dissimilar to the saltwater taffy, which is quite nice. I do think I'm going to need some more of that dried marigold, though I might just use a hint of spiced marmalade because it's a slightly stronger orangey colour. A lot stronger. but I can add some in these places where perhaps there's not a lot of colour. I like that. I do like that. I'm just having a look in with the pinks and pinky purples, and I was thinking of a tiny bit of seedless preserves, which I think may play nicely with this. The worst thing that'll happen is that I'll end up redoing a page, but I actually think this is going to work quite nicely, and I'm just going to stroke it down from places rather than trying to get patches of it just on the edge. And with this, I don't need now to edge the colour with any, edge the edges, create a border of darker colour really. I think that's just brought that hint of darker tones there. So let me just pop those back into my storage box where I keep all my distress inks and bits and bobs. And then what I've got here is I have got some browns off to the side, and I do want to use a slightly darker colour. I'm looking at this. Aged mahogany would be quite nice because it's a reddish colour. It's quite dark, like ground espresso is quite dark, but let's use some of the aged mahogany, I think. And then I'm picking this up, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to use the sponge with some of the aged mahogany along the edge, and I'm just allowing it to come over onto the top surface a little bit. But the main job I'm doing is I am actually just more or less just colouring the white edge of the paper. So it's very subtle, but it gives a nice well-defined edge to it. Now you can do this with marker pens and other things as well, and I am just going to bring perhaps a little bit more in around the corners, as if it's well used and abused, as it were. And I think that looks good enough for me today, here and now. So I'm just going to pop everything back into my box, which won't take a moment. Because if I need to get up, I'm going to fall flat on my face, because I know there's a delivery for me coming soon. I've had that notification, so hopefully it won't disturb. But what do you think? I think that looks good enough to have a good go at this at, don't you? Okay, glasses. And I said the fragment I want to make an overall pattern from and see how that works is this one here. But I want to make quite big squares on the paper. And I'm trying to think, do I want a bar in between? I don't need a bar in between because they'll be created by these outer bits, won't they? So let's just draw these on. I've got an 03 pen. And what I'm going to do first is I am going to draw a square inside this. I'm absolutely flabbergasted to get 1,000 subscribers. I really, really am. And I'm so grateful because, you know, I expected to be talking to myself forever and a day. Okay, so I need now, I think I'll split this into, do I want to do threes? If I do threes, they'll be quite a nice size. So there's an opportunity then to put other patterns inside. 4, I think, wouldn't really show the repetition, you know, as in 4 squares. So 2 by 2. 3 by 3 would be bigger. 4 by 4 would be about this big, about the same size as I've drawn it. Whereas it's possible to put other things inside. I think I might just go for the 3 by 3. So I'm just doing this by eye, really. And as it's hand drawn, it doesn't have to be precise. Good enough is good enough. So I'm going to do the same. I'm roughly looking at where this would make kind of a squarish shape. Again, if it's not exactly square, I'm not going to worry too much about it. The middle ones perhaps are a little bit more rectangular than the others, but I think they'll do. Next job, towards the centre of each of these, I'm going to put a nice big, well, biggish, a sizable circle. Just turn this round so that it'll be there. So it's getting really warm up here in my room. The sun, it's a sunny day, so my room, where I work, is south facing. And of course it's nearly midday, so it's British summertime, so it's not its full height yet. That'll be about 1 o'clock when it's true noon, when the sun is in the height, you know, directly in the south and more or less directly overhead. Never quite gets directly overhead, the further north you go. But it's, you know, it's going to, promises to be a very warm day, which is fine. We've had a few cool ones. So in the centre of each of these, I'm going to put a little black pearl. That's what I like to think of them as. Or a little black bead. I just like the contrast that brings, and also that heaviness, the weight of that black, which seems to fix these in place almost. It's almost like a weird button. I say almost. Or a gem almost. I think I made the right decision here colouring this paper, to be honest. Now I've started. Okay, so that's that. Now, if I go back to this, the next job is to put the centerpieces in. And they are going to run one from another, so this will be quite nice to do, because I'm going to offset them from the centre a little bit. And if they bend along the way to keep them slightly offset, then that'll be fine. But I'm making sure they join over the square joins. And I'm not worried about that line showing through. I could have drawn the lines in pencil, but we can either make use of it, disguise it in some way, perhaps put a black bead on there with another circle round. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to do them all in this direction first. So trying to draw each line in one go without stopping and starting. Sometimes I might slow down and it goes a bit wiggly, and that's fine. And then this way. Oh look, that's not a very neat and tidy one there. Nor that one, so I'm just going back to sort that out. A helicopter overhead. We've had church bells, the tintinnabulations of church bells. It's a lovely word, it's one of my favourite ones, tintinnabulation. The ringing of bells, so I'm guessing there's a wedding been going on in the church, or the bell ringers were practising ahead of a wedding later today, because it was quite early for a wedding. It's a bank holiday weekend here in the UK, so that means that there's an extra holiday on Monday, a day off for not every worker, sadly, but for many. So as it's a long weekend, a lot of people go away for the weekend. There's events and things going on. I think it's Pride weekend as well. So there's lots of Pride marches and festivals around the country. And I could certainly hear music coming from the town not long ago. So my windows are open, so. And I'm sat indoors, out of the sun, because me and the sun do not agree with each other. My skin is very strange again. I think it's all hormonally related. Okay, so I need to replicate this in each and every one of these squares. And the way I did this was I started with the crescent moon and I put them So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along. I'm going to do this one first. So I'll do one there, one there, one there on each and every row, and then I'll turn my paper and do it. In fact, I could do like this, where I can put one in here, and then the opposite one goes in, then this one, then this one, then this one, then this one. So that's my first basic crescent moon. So I'm going to go back and fill them in, because I quite like to do things as I go. So for these, I am making them so that they're made out of 3 concentric lines, and then the innermost one is where I am going to fill it with black to give it that crescent moon look. So I'll do that one, and that one, and then this one. So just take your time when you do this and enjoy the process. This is all about enjoyment. It's about taking an opportunity to slow down and just enjoy the process of creation without any investment in how good or not good it is. The investment is in, I'm going to spend time creating just for the sake of creating. So there's the next one, and the next row ready for completion of the crescent moons. So this is what I'm doing this morning. I'm not with it. It was quite cold last night in comparison to how it has been. The window above my bed, behind my bed, was open, and I think the cold air set off an asthma attack in me. And of course, you know, coughing, coughing, coughing and so on, which is how asthma affects me unless it gets really bad, and then I wheeze and cough. But it caused me some concern as well, because I thought, oh no, could this be COVID from last weekend? Because I was with people, and I'd normally wear a mask, but I couldn't because of what I was involved in. And so when I finally got back to sleep, and when I woke up, first order of the day was to get a test done. Thankfully, I'm negative, and the coughing stopped soon after I used my reliever inhaler, so thank goodness for that. Didn't think to get up in the middle of the night and go and get it though, did I? No. Just, you know, dazed and confused, I think. I needed to go back to sleep. Strange dreams though, really strange. Which I can't remember, I just know they were strange. So, oh, that one's a bit of a weird shape, but it's fine. So that didn't really take that much longer to do, so I'm going to turn this way. Now I've got to work out which side of these I'm going to put these on. I could go this side, but that would be wrong because we only have one of the crescent moons in each square, so I'm actually adding them in exactly the same way as I did before I turned the paper. So I'm going to put all of these in, because once I get them in, I won't be so confused about what I'm doing. So I'm doing it this way. And I find when something is very repetitive, because this is very repetitive, I can easily get confused or forget what I'm doing. So if I can vary what I do and how I do things, it keeps my mind working. So here, I think with this row, I'm going to do all the top ones first. I'm going to fill in my auras, and then I'm going to go back and fill in the black. So I'm only having to focus on these 3. Then I move down to the next row of these arcs, and they're here. And this time I might just do the 3 lines and fill that central one in as I go along. So here I'm going to go this way. Different again. It's kind of like playing a game. I can do strange things like this. I say like this. But, you know, sorting things out, or when it comes to putting, you know, if I was making an Afghan, a crochet Afghan blanket, then I was confused then because I thought, hang on, there's nothing here. And of course they shouldn't be in the middle, should there? So, yeah, so sometimes I'll put, you know, groups of squares together and then put the groups together, and sometimes start adding single ones on, just to keep it interesting and not so samey. It works if it's a random blanket. Not that I've done that very often. I prefer to join as you go. So you don't have loads of squares to deal with, or triangles, or whatever shape you're creating. Or just do one big blanket. There we go. So that's the main part done. So let's have a look at what I've got to do next. Okay, so it is joining, it's this side and this side. So I'm going from the edge furthest away from the central bit and putting a line in top and bottom. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it down the column like this. So I'll do all of this side first, because I will keep myself straight and in order this way. I will do this row then, and then for this one, which is also going to be a vertical one, I'm going to do it from the bottom down. Just helps me focus on the one thing, not trying to identify where the squares are, where the block of 4 squares is that makes the fragment is to make that up. Now if I turn it by 90 degrees, I've got exactly the same thing to do. So I'm going to start here and put these lines in. So we are missing squares in between, so I'm going to go this way. Miss that one, go here. Miss that one, go here. Start here, miss the next one, here, miss, and 1. And I can do then the last set, which are these ones. Again, I'm looking down for the next ladybug, or missing a square, whichever you prefer to do. Oops, I nearly went there. But I thought, nope, no ladybug. And then that is a repetition of what I've got here. So my thought that these ribbons would run one under another hasn't worked out, as it shows you just how difficult it can be to put things together. But I do want to do something that will make these perhaps a little bit different. And I think what I want to do is I'm going to add some horizontal ones in here. So I'm starting to get weaving happen. You see? So I am going to do it across each and every place where there are horizontals. So I'm going to go down to, oh, there's a horizontal here, so I need to go here, across here. Hang on. Oh no, it's okay. I'm right. I'm okay. So I'm doing all of this way. It's quite quick to do. Oh, not there, down here, because we're joining horizontal lines. And if I turn it round, I'm going to do exactly the same this way, and I'm going to join horizontal lines this way, as it were. Not, you know, directly join them. I'm not drawing through lines, but you know what I mean. Where I'm making sure there's a complete, almost like ribbon along. And there is a method in my madness, I think. I do like woven patterns as well as the more ornate, flowy ones as well, or organic rather than ornate. So there we go. So I've got that. So I have got some weaving going on here, and I'm so tempted to weave again inside each of these squares, and I think I will. This is where you have to look carefully, because I could have put a line going on here, but that means I've got two lines the same length. So the next weave goes vertical and then horizontal. Here it will go horizontal then vertical. Here it'll be vertical then horizontal. And here it'll be horizontal then vertical. I think I've got that right, have I? No, I haven't. Done this one wrong. Oh hum. I'll leave it as it is. We'll work on that one. Let me just have a look at what I need to do here. So it's this way, 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 this way. This is a bit more taxing, because you really have to keep an eye on what you're doing. I could sort of like go across and miss squares. That might make it easier. So for this one, I'm going like this. Miss a square. Here, I'm going to do the same thing, vertical then horizontal. Miss a square, vertical, horizontal. Miss a square. This one, I'm going to miss a square as well, because this one then would be vertical, then horizontal. This one would be vertical, then horizontal, and this one would be vertical and horizontal. This one then would be vertical and horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal. This one I'm going to miss. This one will be vertical towards the right, then horizontal, vertical on the right side, like so. And I now need to go back and fill the other ones in. So this one here will be horizontal and then vertical. This one will be horizontal, then vertical. This one will be horizontal, then vertical. Here it's going to be horizontal at the bottom, then vertical. I've done that one. Horizontal, then vertical. Done that one. Horizontal, then vertical. And then that one's been done. That one's been done. Horizontal, then vertical. That one's been done. Horizontal and vertical. Miss one. Horizontal and vertical. This one needs to be done, horizontal and vertical. That one's been done, so we'll miss that one. Horizontal, vertical, miss that one. Horizontal, vertical, and that one's been done. Yeah, that one's the odd one out. Everywhere else just works. So I think what I'll do here is I'll just pop one in there, and that then will kind of even it all up, I think. It should have been there, but it is what it is, and I've made that mistake and it will have to live that way. Now then, what do I do next? Move that out of my way, because I have got these spaces here which it would be nice to do something in, and I do have some pens out. I've got a reddy brown one and a yellowy brown one, and I think it'd be quite nice to fill these in somehow. So rather than with black, I use my reddy brown one because I think that would tie in nicely with the mahogany around the outside. And here I think I'm going to just do, oh, choices. I could do tipple. I could do tipple with lots of variations in sizes. I could do tiny little print on. But I think I may just do some of my burlappy kind of pattern, which is essentially cross hatching, but we're leaving some little gaps in the lines so you get a brokenness like worn burlap or sackcloth, something like that, cheesecloth. And then that will make it easy to fill all of these gaps in with the same pattern, and quick and easy, no thought about it. And it can be uneven, it can be messy, it can be as neat and tidy as you like. What it does is it fills these spaces in. Like so. And sends them backwards. I was thinking there's quite a big gap here, but I think it is just what it is. So I think that's going to happen. It's hand drawn, so we're going to get variations. And I think that by using this, I may very well be able to disguise in some way my mistake over here. Because I've got this correct now, here and here. It's just this one over here that needs to be corrected, I think. Yeah, it needs to go right the way up to this line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brown lines right up to the black one. And once I've done this, making sure I'm not putting any gaps, that the black line there is covered completely, and it mostly disappears. So that's okay, that'll be fine. This will take a little bit of time, but as I've said already, I'm rushing because I'm aware of how long the video is likely to be if I'm not careful. So I'll do the next two here so you can see what one complete square looks like, and then I'll complete the rest off camera and come back when that's done for shadowing or adding colours. I think it's going to be shadow and highlight actually, because I've got background colour and I'm using the pens here. So I may use graphite to put some shadow in. I don't have any chalk pastels anymore. I had to make a decision that I was just getting in a right pickle with myself. So that is the basic fragment here, this one here that I started with. All I've done is to add some woven, sort of like rush, I think it is the pattern. Zentangle pattern elements there. Excuse my phone for pinging, it does that. So what I'm going to do, even though I know that that mistake is so obvious to me, but to a glance, well, by the time this is finished it will disappear because I am going to add shadow. No, I don't. Ooh. I have got in front of me, I did get some out because I was originally going to plan to work this on just white paper, so I've got some grey Faber-Castell artist pens. So I may have a look for some brown ones. But first I'm going to go and finish this, so I shall be back in a little while. Okie dokes, I have fertled through actually alcohol markers, because I know that the Pitt Artist pens can shift the pigment marker, the Unipin pens I've used to draw on the distress inked paper, and more on distressed ink paper. And alcohol markers won't, so things clicked in. So I've got 3 colours. I have got, the lightest one is a sandy brown, the middle one is a terracotta, and the darkest is madder red. So it's sort of like a reddy brown, a terracotta like plant pot brown, and something that's a sort of like pinky, it's almost like a pinky beigey sandy colour, I suppose. And I've got a colourless marker as well. So I'm going to use these by first putting in the darkest areas that I want, and these are going to be next to the lines like that, and here and over here as well. And I am also going to put some shadow in. I think I'm going to put it in all around this section. So then I'm doing the darkest first, so you can see how this is going to work, hopefully. And then I'm going to bring the next darkest in, or next lightest in rather. This is terracotta, so the first one was the madder red. I'm just going to colour over the top of that darkest colour because it helps to spread it out that little bit and blend it in. So I am kind of feathering. Then I'm going to use the lightest colour. Let's get the smallest nib out. So this will lighten it all up. And bear in mind that these colours are lighter, or they lighten as they darken, as they dry rather, lighten as they darken. So by putting the lightest colour all around, it will lighten everything up. She says throwing things everywhere. I think I do need a little bit of shadow over here, so that's the medium tone. There's the darker tone. And then I'll bring the lightest tone back in. And that's beginning to bring some dimension there. And I will increase the highlight in the middle, either with a gel pen or by using white chalk. Now then, I also need to put some shadow here, which I'm going to do like that. And I'm going to use this pen just to, this is the medium one, so I'm going to use that to colour in a little bit further than the lightest one, right on the edge, and colour over that just to bring that highlight. And I'm going to try and leave a little wedge in the middle there where the highlight stops, and I am just using some of the colourless blender here just to blend out perhaps where that lightest colour is a bit, there's still a harsh edge there. So I'll do this again. So let me start with the darkest colour. So for these I'm going to do inside the squares first, so I am actually going to go all the way around like this, that inner section that I've done on either side of this. Then we go all the way around the crescent moon on the outside. Then I'm going to add some shadows at each end of these. I'm then going to use the medium shade to colour over them and just extend that slightly darker shadow. So the idea is we're blending this out as well as adding shadow here. Okay. Like so will be fine, and there's that one there. Then I'm going back with the lightest of the alcohol markers, like so. And again, I'm just blending over these just to help to spread these colours a little bit further. And then inside this area, and I will leave a little bit clear there, I do need to extend these just a little bit. And here I've actually managed to not leave much space on that smallest one, which is fine. So I am just using this colourless blender as a way of blending those colours out that little bit further. So I'm going to do the rest of these. I think you can see how it's beginning to start to really come to, oh, excuse me, I'm shifting around on my chair here. It's beginning to come around. This is where the mistake in inverted commas was. So I am going to deal with this one here and now. So remember, it's all the way around the inside part there, along the bottom of the crescent moon, all the way around the crescent moon, the top here, 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 here. That's where I've also got a bit of a mistake, but I think it will disappear into this. It's that black line there that's the problem more than anything. The medium tone. So I'm using this, the terracotta it is, in my case, just to spread these out that little bit more, starting to work on the highlights, towards the highlights. So I'm doing the same here and here, trusting that there's enough ink here and the ink hasn't dried too quickly for me, that these will actually blend out, seep it one into the other. And there we are, and that black line has just about disappeared, just about. And again, I'm just going to take my clear marker, the blender, just use that just to get some of these highlights in, and also to soften the edge a bit. But you can see where this one's dried, even though there were some edges there, you can hardly see them. So, and I'll do the last one here just so you can see. So we're going with shadows underneath this line, right the way around the outside of the crescent moon, along the base of the crescent moon, and then at the ends of these particular lines like this, the zigzaggy lines. Then I'm going to take the medium marker. Oh, except I've used the lightest marker here, haven't I? Or the medium marker for those, but it's okay. If anything, this, I need to go all around the inside bit as well. If anything, it will help with blending things out. So it's the more alcohol marker you can get on the paper, the better. Now, this principle will work no matter what medium you are using to add shadows and leave highlights, because that's what we're doing here. I'm adding shadow and I'm leaving the highlights, or trying to. I'm going to come back and make the highlights more noticeable later on. But what we can do, to leave some, it really does help. And it lets the colour of the underlying paper and the pattern from those colours show through subtly. So there's my first one. And I'm going to do all the others in exactly the same way, except I am going to take myself off camera to do that, because it's going to be a longer job. So I'll come back when this is finished to do the highlights. So see you in an instant, but for me it could be a while. So very quickly, I thought you might like to have a look part way through, just to see the difference that adding shadow, what colour with shadow and contrast to it makes to the pattern. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the grid on the top. Part of me is desperate to add gold, but I know I will mess that up if I'm not careful. But it could be an interesting kind of thing, or I will use just the paler two colours possibly, just to bring that out a little bit. But I just thought you might like to see this, and I'm going to carry on and finish, and I'll be back in a tick for you, but a little while for me. Okay, so here I am. That's all of the sort of like sections within. It's just this grid pattern that's left to sort out and organise. I had thought of putting gold there, but I know I'm going to make a right pig's ear of it. So what I'm going to do instead is I've got the medium tone here, And I'm just going to put some little bits of shadow around each end of these, not in the middle bits where they meet. I know there's a line there, but there will be some highlight going in there, honest. So I'm just going to quickly do this with you because this isn't going to take me that long. And I'm going to also add some of the paler colour just to blend this out as well, because I think that is very much what's going to be needed. And then the highlights will be left to be done. So I'm using my beads or buttons here in the middle just to just as the guide for where everything needs to go. It's helping me keep track of where I need to put things. So I'm just popping in the lighter colour here just to increase that sort of like feeling of depth and intensity, or volume I should say. Oh, we need a bit there. I missed that, the medium colour out there. And just there, so I can do that, I can pop it in later. So we've got all of this. So it's all working quite nicely, I think. And I will come back with the the colourless blender just to blend the ends of these out just that little bit more, just to help so I don't really have, you know, like just harsh lines. Just a bit there as well, but so it's easy enough. I do feel I need to put some gold in somewhere, and I think I might put the gold in around these central beads, buttons, whatever we want to call them. So that's that all done. So oops, not that end, let's have this other end and just get this. Damn, that just picked up some of the black pen. It'll be fine. It happens. I work with it. It's the easiest thing to do, or the most sensible thing to do, is not to fight the pens, really. What happens, happens, and what will be, as it were. See where that's happened now, where I've just done the across the black bit in the middle, but we're getting there. So that will be fine, I think. I think I've just had these ones to go. I think that's all of them done, I think. So that just adds that extra bit of shadow there. And what I might do as well is very carefully, I'm going to pop around these just some darker colour. And I'm just going to go around each and every one of them, and because I'm going to fill the centre in with gold, I'm going to worry too much if it overlaps into that outer circle. Okie dokes. Nearly done, last couple. Should get fine liners in alcohol markers, not the Sharpies, but ones like these. Okay, so I've got that done. Gold isn't a problem. I've just had a delivery. My delivery, I didn't know what it was because I'm a bit of a muppet at times. Forgot I ordered these a few days ago. I ordered some gold, metallic gold Signo pens. Just metallic actually. Actually, that one's bronze. That would actually work actually, but I think I need something a bit lighter, so I think I will go with the gold if I can get it out. Why do they make it so difficult to get these things out of packages individually? Right, I'm just going to try this out and check that it will look okay. I think so. What do you think? Yeah, definitely. I think the gold will look fab. So I am going to put gold inside here. Part of me now thinks I really should have coloured over this because the gold would, does it look any different on the white than it does on the dark? Let's have a look and see. Sometimes it's useful to look, actually, no, it'll be fine. And I can redefine the black afterwards with a black pen. I've been working at this now. I think I said I started just about 11:30. It is now 1:30, so this has been 2 hours for me working, and it's been an absolute pleasure to do this. It's not very often I actually finish pieces of work in a video, but this one really needed that editing, I think, to you know, the editing that in short pieces, otherwise I'd be here for 2 hours, which some of you may enjoy, but I think it's going to be over an hour even then now. So I've got these are all done, and in the little highlights on black, I'm not going to use gold. I'm going to keep my gold just for those bits there, which will catch the light, hopefully. Not sure if you can see. There we go. So it does catch the light. It goes dark from certain directions, but I have here a jelly roll pen, which will be fab for these little white spots, because we do want some white, really white, bright highlights here. And then, although it's 1:30 for me, by the time this is processed and uploaded, goodness knows what time it is. It seems to have been taking forever with YouTube lately. I'm also going to pop a little white highlight at the top of each of the crescent moons, just to give that contrast again and to help to bring things out a little bit. And there's something I want to try before I do it to increase the highlight on everywhere else. So some of these will be smaller than others, some will be bigger, and I'm happy with the variation, to be honest. Oh gosh, that's dried up already. It is really warm. I've said that before, it's not as warm and hot as it was a couple of weeks ago, dear goodness. That was insufferable. But, well, for me it was. I think it was for many people. As we say, we're just not used to those kinds of temperatures. So that helps with that movement and picks out the pattern in a different way. And the reason I did this wasn't just to test out my colours and check the colours would blend and work together nicely. There is a bit more method in my seeming craziness, and there was something in here I wanted. Do you think I can find it? I'm sure I popped it in there. Obviously not. I've put it somewhere else. Hey ho. Right. Let's find a paper stump. I'll have to clean one up again. This is how I do it. I use a sandpaper block. Often these come with sets of paper stumps and tortillons. It's so you can literally clean the end up, take the colour off, reshape them if they become a bit worn, or shape them to what you want them to be. Creates a lot of fluff and dust. But I've got a white charcoal pencil here, General's Charcoal White. So I put this on here and oops, the other end. I blend it, that will give a nice bright highlight. So let me try that in one area here. And let's have a look. That makes a difference, I think. And I think it's going to help with the difference where I've got these things that overlap. So I'm going to do that along the grid. I'm not sure whether I want to put these in the actual main part of the design. We'll have a look in a moment, because this won't take long to do. If I do decide to put highlights on some of the other parts of the design, then I will show you what I'm going to do and take that off screen again, because it will take me a little while. Now then, this is where hopefully I've got everywhere. So I'm going to have to be very logical about this, otherwise I'm going to miss places. The idea here is just to spread this out a little bit, but also work it into the paper so it's not likely to smudge and wear off. Ah, I missed that one. You can tell I missed it. But also what it's helping to do is those black lines that exist, it's helping to just push those back a little bit. So I have just blown the excess off. I'm going to look up at my screen, because my screen will let me know if I've done enough. Yeah, I think I may have. Everything looks very, very edgy and not very good on the screen at the moment, but honestly it looks a lot better to my eye. It's the way the camera is picking things up. Okay, next job. I need a pen. I have an 03 here, because I do want to go round and just tidy up these where perhaps that gold has spilled over to where it perhaps shouldn't have, in a way. So it's just making sure that everything is as neat and tidy as I can get it. Part of me thinks the bronzy colour might have worked better, but I've gone with gold, and the gold will remain now. So just tidying this up to make it, the edges just nice and neat and dark again. You can see here that inner section on these two has just become covered up with gold, so I'll just clean and tidy that one up. Actually, I've just noticed that one the same, and this one could do with a little bit there. This one as well. I think that'll do. That may need a little bit round this side. There we go. So that just redefines that and brings that back in. And the very last thing I need to do is I'm going to decide somewhere where I'm going to put my initials. And I think it's going to be just here, inside a little thing, and on the back I'm going to write my name, today's date, which is the 27th of August 2022, and I've used Distress Inks, Unipin in 03, and Ohuhu art marker pens. Signo, Uniball, Signo, metallic gold, and a General's charcoal, and paper stamp. So there's a reference there for what I've used. I may not remember the colours of the distress ink, but at the end of the day it hasn't really mattered too much because I've used the alcohol markers, except it does give a nice colour to the paper. So this is now done. Now then, the big thing I'm thinking about is giving this or another piece of artwork away as a celebration, a thank you for 1,000 subscribers. I'm not quite sure how I can do that because I don't want to be writing out 1,000 names and popping them in a hat or whatever. Want something to choose it randomly if I can, so I've got to look into these things. But you can watch out for that, and it will be just by leaving a comment of some kind or other, and I'll work it. So thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you enjoy this. I hope you give this pattern a go because it's turned out unusual but interesting, and it does look like a crazy tiled floor. But as flat as the design is, it's got an optical illusion of depth to it, which I do like. So until I see you again, please take care of yourselves, and above all else, find time to be creative. Ta-ta for now. Bye. Hwyl fawr.